Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out, episode 329. I hope everyone's January is going well so far, kicking off the new year in a good headspace, maybe working on your New Year's resolutions, a fresh start, a clean slate. Speaking of good headspace, next weekend on Tech It Out, I'm going to share some meditation and mindfulness gadgets and apps. But on today's show, we have a really great one for you. We're going to kick things off with Samsung. They just hosted their Galaxy Unpacked event in San Jose. I just returned on the red eye from that. And so yours truly was there in person to kick the tires on the new family of Galaxy S24 devices, 3 new smartphones. But more importantly, the amazing AI or artificial intelligence that's baked into these devices. I caught up with Blake Gaiser at Samsung Electronics America while at the Unpacked event to tell us all about the new phone. So I'm going to play our interview recorded the other day in about 2 minutes from now with Blake about the new Galaxy S24 family of devices and the Galaxy AI powering them. Speaking of smartphones, also on the show this hour, Ted Kritsonis, a seasoned freelance journalist who writes a lot about photography. And so he's going to share some of his best tips for taking photos on your smartphone. Consider it a Phonography 101, if you will. Also on the show today, my buddy Mario Armstrong. You heard him last week on Tech It Out as we were both at the 2024 Consumer Electronics Show. Towards the end of this week's Tech It Out with a few more really cool gadgets that he found while roaming the massive showroom floor at the Las Vegas Convention Center and surrounding facilities. So we're going to catch up with Mario Armstrong. All of this and more on an all-new Tech It Out powered by Intel, which I'll tell you more about shortly. But let's officially kick off this week's show with our first interview. All right, here at Galaxy Unpacked in San Jose, the unveiling of the S24 family of new devices powered by Galaxy AI. I'm here with Blake Gaiser. He is Director of Smartphone Product Management at Samsung Electronics America. Great to see you again, Blake. I guess Seoul, Korea was the last time we had a chance to chat.
Yeah, we got to have some fun time with Flip and Fold 5, and it's great seeing you here in San Jose.
All right, so Galaxy Unpacked is a biannual event. The one that I saw you at in Korea, South Korea, was for the Z Flip and Fold devices. The one that we're talking about today is about the S family. That's your flagship phones. Tell us all about the S24 family.
There's just so much to talk about with the S24 family. You know, we've really taken a big jump ahead with the S24, with Galaxy AI, really a part of so many functions within this phone, from how you're able to take better pictures, edit those photos, how you're able to transform the way that you're searching for things on the internet, to your translation and transcribe services that we have.
All right, pun intended, we're going to unpack all of that, all of the AI capabilities. Before we do that, however, let's just sort of at a high level, Blake, if I may, ask you about the 3 new devices. What are they? And high level specs. But yes, I know it's all about Galaxy AI, and that's what we're going to focus on.
Absolutely. So we have the S24 base model, our S24 Plus, and our S24 Ultra. So with the S24 base, we've increased the size of the screen by 1 millimeter. We've also increased the battery by 100 milliamp hours. With the S24 Plus, we've increased the screen as well by 1 millimeter, both of those by decreasing the bezel. So the part of the screen that doesn't show you anything.
The border, yeah.
The border. We're showing more of that.
Less of that.
Less of that. Thank you very much. With the Plus model, we've also increased the screen resolution from a full HD to a quad HD display. So what you're able to do is see much more detail within that Plus model. And then with all 3 models, what we did is we increased our adaptive refresh rate from 1 Hz to 120 Hz. Essentially meaning if you're not having to see a whole lot of data, you have a static screen, it's going to utilize less Hertz to run that screen, giving you more battery optimization. All of these are also running on the newest Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 for Galaxy chipset, which is the fastest chipset that we've ever had in a Galaxy device, notably with a much larger NPU core, or neural processing unit, which really drives our Galaxy AI experience.
Yeah, that's a good segue into Galaxy AI, but also we have to give a quick nod to Samsung's industry-leading cameras. in their devices with unbelievable zoom and picture quality, big sensor, great AI capabilities. So why don't we start there, in fact? So Galaxy AI is the umbrella term for all of these new technologies, this new intelligence that, frankly, Samsung has had some of this for a while, but really coming together this year. Let's start with photography. What can you do now with your photos and videos?
So what's fantastic about everything that we built into the S24 series is we have what we call the Pro Visual Engine, and that's really the engine that does everything from how you're capturing a video or photo to how you're editing it, all the way up to how you're sharing it on your social media platforms. So with Galaxy AI, what we've done is we built in what we call a cognitive aware engine on all of our lenses. What that means is that when you're taking a photo, the camera recognizes what kind of photo you're taking of. Are you taking a picture of a human? Are you taking a picture of a building, a landscape, whatever it might be? And it's able to adjust the settings so you don't have to. So you can be that professional photographer without having to know exactly how that camera is working just by a click of the button. We've also updated our S24 Ultra series with a 5x 50 megapixel optical lens. What does that mean? That means you're getting high resolution at 5x zoom, one of the best absolutely out there. And so you can get things like 8K video while zooming at 5x. So things that are further away, you're getting extreme clarity, everything within that. Also with that Pro Visual Engine, what we're doing is we're actually processing at the individual pixel rather than grouping pixels together and processing them that way. So that allows us to give you really clear contrast between if you're say for example, you're taking a picture of, a friend of yours, it's able to get and capture the strands of hair on that and give really clear contrast there within. And you're also getting much better color tonality because it's recognizing what it's taking a photo of with that contrast. It's all pulling it together with a much better camera system.
Tell us about the generative AI tools. I just saw a demo here of a skateboarder. Please tell us with that in mind, or someone that had a shadow in front of their face, what you can do now with these new devices.
Yeah, so we have two different types of editing. We have our on-device editing, and then we have generative AI. So starting with the on-device editing, when you've taken that photo and you go and look at that photo, automatically the camera is going to pop up and give you suggestions as to what you might want to do with that photo from a post-processing standpoint. Whether that's remove reflections, remove shadows, add color to a black and white photo that you might have taken, whatever it might be, as well as remaster it to make sure that it has the best color, clearest contrast available. That's all on device. Then we have generative AI, and that's where you can cut out an object, move it, resize it, change its orientation, whatever your heart desires, and then it will fill in the background of where that object was, as well as you can, if say you take a photo of the Eiffel Tower and it just wasn't straight. So you normally, to make that straight, you'd have to crop the photo down. You might cut off some of the Eiffel Tower. Now you can just change the tilt, and everywhere that there isn't data on those borders, it will add a generative AI background to it. And what's really great about that is after doing all of that, we do put a watermark of our 3 stars in the lower left corner of that photo that just says this was generative edit. So we're trying to make it, as clear to others as yourself as to, how you manipulated things, and then that is also saved within the metadata as well, just for, visibility for people.
So if that skateboarder was really only a foot in the air, not 10 feet in the air, you're going to know because of the 3 little stars.
Exactly. I mean, if someone were to take a picture of me trying to dunk, it's the only way I could make people believe that I actually could, but those 3 stars would give me away.
You and me both, brother. At a towering 5.5, I can agree with you there. I also saw an example of a video being slowed down. That was really cool. But I want to move now to live translate and transcript assist. But let's start off with the ability to have a conversation with someone that speaks another language over the phone and what it can do for you.
Yeah, so the benefits of AI, are continuing to grow. And as we become more connected globally, we've recognized that having those translation services and whatnot are becoming more and more important. And so on the actual phone app, when you go into your dialer, you are able to do live translations that is immediate. We're starting off with 13 different languages, but what you can do is say you have a friend who speaks speaks Korean, you can save in their contacts what language it is that they speak. And then when you're on that call, you can press live translate. It will transcribe what you say. It will show you on your screen how that's translated, and it will speak to them in that translation. Yeah. When they respond back to you, you'll see a transcription of what they said in their language, and then it will speak to you and show you a transcription in your language. So it's just really phenomenal. It's instantaneous, and it just gives you that ability to cross borders in communication.
Yeah, it's super cool. More with Blake Gaiser. When we return, we're going to talk about this feature that will transcribe your recordings into text for you. If you're a student, if you're someone who works in an office and you're recording boardroom meetings, or you're a journalist like me who conducts lots of interviews, this is really wild stuff. Google Pixel has done something like this in the past, but it is getting much smarter, faster, and there's some really cool things you can do. We're going to hear all about that and more when we return on Tech It Out on the Radio America Network. Don't forget to listen in online as well, whether it's through iHeart or Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Audible, and several other platforms. Please feel free to like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, your neighbors, your family, your coworkers, your whatever. And I love hearing from Tech It Out listeners. I'll share all my socials in a couple of minutes as well. So stick with us. You're listening to Tech It Out on the Radio America Network. We'll be right back.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, powered by Intel. The Intel Core Ultra processor represents the largest shift in Intel's CPU design in more than 40 years, adding generative AI capabilities to the laptop. This makes accessing your data more personalized, faster, and more secure than leveraging the cloud or online. Get immediate results by asking your computer something like, "Show me the email where I was promised a raise," or "Where are my wedding photos?" The AI PC is here. More is at intel.com/Core Ultra. Speaking of AI, we are chatting with Blake Gaiser from Samsung Electronics America about the new Galaxy S24 smartphones that are packed with what's called Galaxy AI. Again, just like Intel, fusing smarts with devices themselves with hardware. Generative AI, having a conversation with your devices to help you get more done in less time. Now, before the break, Blake, we were about to chat about letting your smartphone comb through interviews or other audio you've got on your phone and what it can do after that. Blake, I believe it's called Transcript Assist. Please tell us about that.
Transcript Assist is a tool that I think is going to be used by a lot of people. It's great for business, to your point. Many meetings also will be great for students. And that's where you can pull up your voice recorder, and as people are talking, it will transcribe exactly what's being said. But it will also recognize up to 8 different people, and it will attribute their words to them. And so you'll have this whole conversation that is perfectly transcribed. So if you need to go to it, look back as what was said in that meeting, you can do so. But you can also summarize that meeting. So it will do a generative summary of what that meeting was about, key points. It will bullet them out, and you can go back to that quickly and say, oh, okay, we talked about these main things in that meeting. You can also then take that, translate it, send it off to a colleague in another language if need be.
Yeah, that was really cool. It was accurate. It was fast. Let's now end off, Blake. We are chatting with Blake Gaiser from Samsung Electronics Americas. We're chatting all about the new Galaxy S24 family of devices powered by Galaxy AI. Let's end off on Circle to Search by Google. This blew me away.
Henry Ford once said, if I asked my customers what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. And so many people don't think about how much time we take searching for things on the internet. With Circle to Search, whatever's on your screen, just a long hold on the home key, you can circle what you might be looking for, and it will pull up a generative AI summary as to what you're looking for, as well as additional information. And it's doing it on top of whatever app you're on. So a perfect example I like to give is if you're doom scrolling on Instagram and somebody posts this beautiful cathedral somewhere, you're like, gosh, I want to know what that is. You can simply circle it. It will tell you all about it and say this, cathedral was in Paris. You can ask follow-up questions to it then and say, what's the nearest airport? And it knows that you're talking about that cathedral, and it will tell you, here's the nearest airport, here's what flights look like from where you're at to Paris. You can ask follow-ups like, plan a 3-day trip for me, and it'll give you that as well, knowing that you want to go see that cathedral. Yeah. And so it's one of those things that you're watching, YouTube, you're on Instagram, whatever it is that you might do, you can quickly find it. You can circle an image, you can circle text, and it will find that as well.
Even in real life, you could be in line at a Starbucks and you like the sneakers worn by the guy in front of you. You can just, don't even need to take a picture of it. Just hold your camera up and you'll see the shoes, of course, on your phone screen. Circle it and it'll tell you the make and model and price.
Exactly. And what's really great about it is it's floating on top of whatever app you're on. So if you've ever gotten out of Instagram after scrolling forever, the minute you get back onto it, it jumps you up to the top, and there goes all your hard work of scrolling. Here, you've never left that app. You just swipe circle to search off the screen, and you're right back to what you want to do.
Awesome, Blake. This is really cool. Devices are available at the end of January, but available for pre-order now. All of this Galaxy AI, just to be clear, is only on the S24 family?
Correct. It is launching on the S24 family. We will be bringing it to the S23 family, including the S23 FE, as well as the Tab S9 and Flip and Fold 5 sometime before the end of the first half.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much for your time. Congratulations on a successful Galaxy Unpacked.
Really appreciate it. We're excited to get this into as many hands as possible.
Again, what I like this year, opposed to every year with a new smartphone launch, whether it's iPhone or Samsung or Google Pixel, is this time around, Samsung is not focusing on the speeds and feeds, the specs of the device. It's a 6.2 inch this or 6.8 inch that with X processor and blah, 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 blah. Not everybody cares about that. I know Blake started to talk about, 1 millimeter thinner or a bigger screen or whatever. I think this year, the story is really the AI, what you could do with your phone. And that's where I think Samsung really is shining this year with these new S24 devices. I got a chance to play with it a lot in San Jose last week, and it's really impressive. Speaking of smartphones, don't forget, next up on Tech It Out, we're going to catch up with renowned journalist and photographer Ted Kritsonis. He writes a lot about how to take good photos and what cameras to buy, but we're going to talk smartphone photography and any tips and tricks to getting more out of your device and dealing with those potential limitations compared to a standalone camera like a mirrorless model with interchangeable lenses and all that. So also at Galaxy Unpacked, I sat down with Ted Kritsonis. We're going to play that interview after this short break. If you want to check out his work, by the way, you can go to Instagram and it's at byteddyk. That's BYTEDDYK for Kritsonis. And you can see his work there as well as a photographer. Next weekend, by the way, we'll chat TVs, considering Super Bowl is around the corner. And with Valentine's Day coming up, we're going to chat about an app called Vinally, which is meant for music lovers, right? Combining the word finally, it's a dating app, with music appreciation. So that's coming up next week too. So we've got a lot of good stuff going on Tech It Out. So thrilled to have you along for the ride, whether you're listening on your local talk radio station or in podcast form. We'll be right back with more Tech It Out.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. As I mentioned earlier in the show, I'm here in San Jose at Unpacked, Samsung's biannual event where they showcase new devices. In the summer, it's the Z or Z family, and this time around, it's the S series, their flagship smartphones. I'm sitting here with Ted Kritsonis. He is a renowned technology journalist, writes for several publications in multiple countries, and he also is an expert in automotive technology, photography, travel. It's great to see you, Ted, at Unpacked. I hope you've had a good week here so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Always good to be with you too, Mark.
So I wanted to pick your brain on photography tips for phone users. So many of our listeners, they may have at one point had a standalone camera, and some still might purchase, say, a mirrorless camera where you can change lenses and all that, or an SLR, DSLR. But for most of us, we rely on our iPhone or Android phone to take photos. Whether that's good or not, it's convenient. So I wanted to talk to you about some great tips to getting the most out of your smartphone as a camera. You have extensive experience in this space. As they say, the best camera is the one that you have with you. So I guess convenience trumps quality, but the phones are catching up in quality.
They are catching up in quality, and they're also catching up in the type of features that are available. And I think it is ideal for people to actually study what the phone offers as far as the camera is concerned, right? So, for example, I always shoot with the grid. And by the grid, it's a feature that you'll see in the settings, usually in the camera app. So it separates the screen basically into quadrants or into 6 different boxes, right? And the idea of doing that is you're able to level your photo so that it's level, but also you can apply the rule of thirds. So this way, you don't always have to put the subject right in the middle. Put them off to the side and maybe change the perspective a little bit so that you add some depth to the shot. And you'd be surprised how more artistic and more professional the shot ends up looking.
Yeah, it completely changes the energy when you play around with the rule of thirds, which is a familiar camera term for decades now, but certainly applies to phonography. And speaking of perspective, I've also seen the mistake, Ted, of tall people shooting down at shorter people, or the reverse, where people are kneeling down in order to shoot something taller than them. It can look funny. So I guess the tip is to try to match the height of your subject as best as you can, like crawl on the floor if you're trying to photograph a baby crawling on its elbows. Is that fair?
I think it depends what you're shooting. So if you are capturing a person, yes. I think generally speaking, you may want to be more level with where they are. If you want to add a perspective, like sometimes a majestic shot, if it's a person behind a landmark of some kind, that could look interesting. I find when it comes to landmarks or architecture, things like that, that's when changing your perspective or using the ultra-wide camera can be really cool and lead to amazing results as well. But when it comes to people, I think it depends. You'll notice that women like a top-down shot, right?
Hey, I do too.
Yeah.
Gets her to my double chin.
Yeah, but women don't do it for height. I mean, they do it because it just accentuates the body more, right? So there are certain things that may apply differently depending on who you're shooting. So kids will be different from adults. Women may be different from men. These aren't hard and fast rules, but they're the sort of thing that can change the way a photo looks.
Yeah. Lighting seems to be a challenge for photographers ever since photography was invented. Talk to us about maybe some of the more unique challenges that a smartphone photographer may face and how to get around those.
Okay, I got a great one for this one, okay? Because whenever I see someone use a flash on the phone, I cringe. Never use the flash on the phone. It's awful. It just doesn't travel very far. So instead, try this tip.
Yeah, it could look overexposed, right?
Well, yeah, because the flash can only travel so far. So if you're using the flash and you're capturing a person and you want to get the background, the flash is just going to wash out on the person and not capture anything else. So what I recommend is, especially if you have a couple of friends with you, have them turn on the flashlights of their phones and just sort of flank the subject, the person, right? And that way they're lit, but it doesn't affect the background or the backdrop. So
Love that.
Yeah, so you end up getting a shot that really works, and that and it looks kind of almost like not a photo shoot, if you will, but it looks different from what most people are doing.
What if you're outside? Cloudy days are probably best, right? Because it sort of acts as a diffuser.
Ask any wedding photographer, they'll tell you that the overcast days are the best days.
Yeah.
Simply because the tones are softer. So skin tones, everything is softer in overcast. And now sunlight is harsh, especially in the middle of the day. That's one of the worst times to take photos. The shadows are not really there, and you don't get that golden glow that you'll get at dawn or dusk.
Twilight hour.
Well, yeah, blue hour is a great time for night shooting. So that hour where the sky goes, from basically dusk to night, you get that bluish tinge that really is awesome, and especially if you have lit up architecture, it's fantastic.
Now, let's say you are sightseeing, you're traveling, and you need to take a picture of the Eiffel Tower during the day because that's when you're there. If you're shooting subjects like your family, have the sun behind you as the photographer instead of behind the subject.
So phone cameras are getting getting better at that, at illuminating the subject, even though the sun is behind them or a light source is behind them. Ideally, you want it the reverse. You want the light hitting the subject, right? To make it.
They can look like a silhouette.
And also, sometimes the dynamic range is off. So even if you try to add more exposure to the subject, you're ultimately overexposing the background, and that's also a problem too. So the software in phone cameras is trying to mitigate that and trying to do something about that, but you'll find that in some cases it won't work. I would say the same also for architecture as well. It's always great if you're shooting it so that light is hitting the building or hitting the structure, as opposed to, you're shooting it when like the light's behind it. It's not going to look as good.
Yeah. We're chatting with Ted Kritsonis. He is a photographer, a technology journalist, and a travel expert. So who better to chat with about phonography tips, using your smartphone to take photos. Pardon the ambient noise. We're in a hotel lobby in San Jose, California. We just attended the Samsung Galaxy Unpacked event. Speaking of phones that can take amazing photos, let's talk about zoom. That seems to be one of the downsides to phones, even though they're getting better. Being able to capture a subject farther away without physically getting closer to them. What are some tips to handling phones that don't have great zoom?
First of all, you need stability. So you need to be holding the phone in a very stable way when you're zooming in, simply because the more you zoom, the easier it is for the photo to be blurred based on the movement of your hands. Obviously, if you're zooming in, you're trying to capture a moving subject. So let's say you're at a soccer game, your kid's playing, you're trying to zoom in. That's going to be tough to do, simply because they're moving. So I feel like if you have a situation where you're shooting at full resolution, right, 50 megapixels, in Samsung's case is 200, where you can take a photo and then crop in later, great. You can do that. Not every phone's going to offer that, unfortunately. So what I recommend in most cases is, if you can, try to shoot not as zoomed in and then crop in, but if it's a stationary subject, something that's not moving, and you're very stable, by all means, zoom in.
More smartphone photography tips with journalist Ted Kritsonis when we return on Tech It Out. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Tech It Out at the Samsung Galaxy Unpacked event last week in San Jose. I sat down with technology journalist and photographer Ted Kritsonis to talk not just about Samsung, but all smartphones and how you can take better photos with them. There are some shortcomings compared to standalone cameras, of course. Phones are getting better. They're getting really good for taking photos, but there are still some limitations. And so Ted shared some of his insights. We're going to continue on with the chat right now. Second last question, Ted. Do you suggest people shoot horizontally or vertically? Or does it vary on where it's going to be posted, like on social media?
Photography has always been portrait and landscape, right? If you really think about it. It's always been that way. Obviously, social media has popularized the portrait orientation because it's so common. I don't know that there's one that's better than the other. I think it depends, again, on the subject. If you're shooting something that's got some height to it, then you'll probably go portrait. If you're shooting something that's got more space, there's some more lateral space to it, you're probably going to want to go landscape. Listen, if you can, shoot both. The beauty of digital photography is that you don't have to worry about film and running out of film. If you can, just shoot both. Try different angles. Try the different cameras that you have on the phone as well. Try different perspectives and different angles. Experimentation is key to getting better at taking photos. Yeah. It's that simple.
Awesome. Finally, because it's a smartphone, there's built-in tools like filters and powerful editing tools. You already talked a little bit about having the grid as an option, as an overlay before you even shoot that photo. But what do you think about enhancing the photo before you share it or save it? What's your take on that? Do you like those kinds of things to make to make it look like you're a better photographer than you really are?
Yeah, I think it's part of digital photography today. I'm not a big fan of the filters used, say, on Instagram. I always thought they were a little contrived and just a little ridiculous at times. At the same time, I look at that differently than I would look at, let's say, a preset in Adobe Lightroom. For a preset, just so people understand, is just what the different sort of sliders that you've used to edit the image. And
add brightness, tweak color.
Like brightness, contrast, things, various different things. There's a lot of them. So it's a little different applying something like that, I think, and working on that as a base, as opposed to just just applying some random filter, because it looks funky on Instagram.
It smooths out your wrinkles and blemishes.
Yeah, I mean that kind of,
it's a little over the top these days.
Way over the top. The filtering where you're totally changing what the person looks like in a lot of ways. I'm not comfortable with that, honestly.
Ted, it's awesome chatting with you. I'd love to have you back to talk about video tips one day on your smartphone, how to capture the best videos. But until then, what's the best website for our listeners to check out your work, your articles, and your own photography as well?
Well, I don't have my photography site ready just yet, unfortunately. But next time we'll talk, it will be. But yeah, right now, Muck Rack is probably the best place to find me. That sort of aggregates all the different journalism that I do and includes all the photos that I take. And at Instagram, @by Teddy K, BY Teddy K.
All right, so @by Teddy K on Instagram, and Muckrack, great website, muckrack.com, where you can type in Teddy's name. Ted Kritsonis is Kritsonis, and you'll see his articles there. And I know you do take some photos that you contribute with your articles sometimes as well. So you may not have a formal online repository for all your photos in one place.
Not yet.
Great to see you, Teddy. Fly safe home. Good to talk to you.
Always good to be with you. Thank you, Mark.
Hey, if you have any photography tips for smartphone owners, feel free to hit me up on social media and I'll share them as well. So I'll spell my name in a moment, but I'm on all the major platforms like X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, and a few others. It's Mark Saltzman, M-A-R-C, S like Sam, A-L-T like Tom, Z-M-A-N, Saltzman. Mark Saltzman, Mark with a C, Saltzman with the Z. I always love chatting with Tech It Out listeners on social media. Even if you have a tech question for me, you can hit me up. I also link to all the articles that I write and radio and podcast interviews like the ones you've been hearing this hour. I link to TV appearances, or I shoot videos for social media. One of them, in fact, has almost got 1 million views at the time of recording this radio show. It was tied to the Consumer Electronics Show, where I shot a 1-minute video about the LG transparent TV called the Signature T, and it's almost at 1 million views. That's really good. Well, for me, there are social media influencers that get that on a regular basis. I am not one of them, but that was welcomed, and like tens of thousands of likes and shares and all that, which is really great. Hundreds of comments. So thank you for that. So if you want to follow me on social media for what I call breaking down geek speak into street speak, that would be great. If you prefer to email me privately instead of asking me questions or commenting publicly, you can reach me on my website. You guessed it, marksaltzman.com. Send me an email. Maybe you've got tech questions or suggestions for upcoming guests or topics on Tech It Out that you'd like me to tackle. Hey, I do want to take a moment to give a shout out to Western Digital. I always recommend backing up your files on a regular basis just in case. And yes, you can leverage the cloud, an online site, but then you have to pay every month. And you're limited in how much data you can store unless you pay through the nose, which is not fun. But instead, you can get a reliable and inexpensive and high capacity drive from Western Digital, many terabytes, not just gigabytes. You can set your computer to back up files every night at, say, 2 or 3 a.m. whenever you're not using your PC. And there is software to make a duplicate of it and all that. So great stuff. Western Digital has amazing hard drives. And then their sister company, SanDisk, makes exceptional solid state drives and thumb drives and micro SD cards and all that. So I like offline and local storage because you can store more. You don't have to pay a monthly service fee. And if there's no internet, like you're flying at 35,000 feet, and you don't want to pay the airline for Wi-Fi, you still have access to your data. So there's some major advantages to offline data. But even if it was inexpensive and easy to use, if it's not reliable, then it's not worth it. But definitely Western Digital and SanDisk are the way to go. WesternDigital.com has more. When we return on Tech It Out, tech lifestyle expert Mario Armstrong will join us with a few more picks from the 2024 Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas, which wrapped up last week. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
Caught up with tech lifestyle expert Mario Armstrong last week when I was at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. And we're going to finish off this week's Tech It Out with a few more picks that Mario found from the showroom floor in Sin City. Thanks again for joining us, Mario. Why don't we start off with a robot?
Yeah, this is a great one. I partnered up with some great brands to talk about all the things that are happening here at CES. And robots are everywhere, Mark, as you know. Aper is here making a splash, that's a pun intended, for pool owners with their CES 2024 Innovation Award honoree. They have shown the Scuba S1. Now, this is a cordless robot cleaner with patented technology, does all your dirty work for you by following the natural flow of the pool. It cleans edge to edge in just 2.5 hours. It uses Caterpillar treads, which gives it better traction, and it's even powerful enough to clean the pool walls, which is really cool. It's got 4 different cleaning modes, so your pool is basically always going to be swim ready.
Okay, and let's talk eco-friendly tech. I know that's important to many of our listeners.
Yeah, and you know, the EcoFlow Delta Pro Ultra leads the way with backup power for the whole entire house. I thought this was really neat because this is like a cost-effective alternative to generators with no noise and no fumes. So it provides a whole house backup for daily, or like if you're dealing with power outages or you're in an area where that happens often. It also has renewable energy integration. It's got customization and quick recharging. You basically get up to a month's worth of power, but you can expand your capacity if you need to. It can also run all your major household appliances and your central AC systems. So you're not down, you know, and you also have the app that lets you prioritize power, and also you can analyze the usage to help you lower those energy bills.
Yeah, I like that. And also just for emergency preparedness, you know, with all the storms going on, you want to make sure that you can keep things going, your CPAP machine, your fridge, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
really
CPAP
important.
Machine, that's a good call. That's right.
So EcoFlow is the name of that family of products for the home. Are there any audio innovations that you like? I know you're a big music guy.
I am a big music guy and a DJ guy, but I like good sound. So I like devices that give me that. And JBL's always been premium. They're an audio innovator. I got 3 of their different products that I checked out. The first one is really cool because you can be the life of the party. It's nice. It's called the Party Box Stage 320. It's got a AI sound boost, which enhances the sound quality. It's got an immersive light show that moves to the beat, and it's transportable. It has a handle. It's got wheels. So this is something that you could take with you, and it's going to give you massive sound to really be the life of the party. Then they also have their Live 770 NC. Now, these are over-the-ear headphones that really have high-quality sound with features like true adaptive noise canceling, spatial sound, and also personalized EQ options. And then if you're looking for earbuds, they got the Live Beam 3. These are new earbuds that have a smart charging case with touch controls on the charging case and on the earbuds themselves, up to 40 hours of battery life, which is insane. And then another cool thing that I saw that was audio-based was for kids. And so at CES, I saw the booth for Tonybox. It's a screen-free story box that brings kids' favorite characters to life. So it's a small box that has these Tony characters. Each Tony plays a variety of story, songs, and lessons that can help children's emotional intelligence using age-appropriate tech without a screen. And they just launched 3 new Tonys: yoga, mindfulness, and potty training. So these are perfect to help your little ones start creating those healthy habits. You basically take one of the little characters, which is called a Tony, pop it on top of the Tony box, and the Tony box is a speaker, and it starts the audio experience. Kids love it.
Yeah, I know we've chatted about Tonybox in the past, so good to hear that they've got new products. I did walk by their booth yesterday in the Venetian Hotel.
Venetian, that's
but
right.
I didn't get a chance to pop in, but I'll be going back there a little bit later today, so thanks for the heads up. We are chatting with digital lifestyle expert Mario Armstrong, a regular on this show, who's also at the 2024 Consumer Electronics Show, sharing with us some of his top picks. We've chatted a few times this show with him. Why don't we end off with a hot gadget for the smart home?
Yes, smart home stuff is abound here at CES. I found a great one with the ecobee smart doorbell camera. The reason why I like this one, it's different. It sees what others can't, other cameras, because this one has a 175-degree view and crystal clear vision day or night. That means even when you have those packages that could be small against your door, normally you can't see them, now you can, and you can see your guests from head to toe. It's also battery free, and it works in extreme temperatures. And one other cool thing about it is that when it's connected to their smart thermostat premium, you can see the live video right on the thermostat too, which is really convenient. ecobee speaker devices chime when the doorbell rings, and you can speak to guests from anywhere. You could use the app, you can use the smart thermostat premium, or even on your Apple Watch, which is cool.
All right, and shameless plug for my hometown. Ecobee was founded in Toronto. And they were the first to have a smart thermostat. There you go. All right, and as we wrap up, Mario, where's the best place to learn more?
Just go to bestofces.com. If you want to see some behind the scenes of the show floor, you can follow me on Instagram at Mario Armstrong.
Great.
Take care, buddy.
You too.
See you soon.
Thanks, Mario, and thank you for tuning into Tech It Out. I hope you enjoyed this week's program. Next week, we talk Super Bowl TVs, dating apps just ahead of Valentine's Day. We'll chat with Vinally, meditation and mindfulness apps and gadgets for a better you in 2024 and more. Have a good one, everyone. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye for now.